Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this episode is for UFC Fight Night Hill versus Rountree Jr. Bear with me, the audio is going to be a little weird, but just disregard that. This took me 2 full days to finish this card. Let's just start off with the first fight of the night, and this kind of set the tone for how this card ended up being. The UFC's in Baku, Azerbaijan, right? Am I even correct on that? They're in Baku, okay? And we start off with Abdelwahab versus Kamaru Usman's brother, who is really bad. Very, very bad. And also, it turns out that Abdelwahab is also very bad. This is what started off the fight night for me. I started watching this and I began to realize that this might have been one of the worst fights this year. It may be in the last 2 years. This might be the worst fight in the last 2 years. This was an absolute garbage fight. And we start off with what the scorecard was. 29-28, Usman. Okay, first round for Abdelwahab, last 2 rounds for Usman. First round, Abdelwahab is outstriking Usman by about 6-7 strikes, and Abdelwahab but given the fact that he outstrikes him, he proceeds to really not throw anything. The entire round is Usman heavily reacting to strikes from Abdelwahab, and Abdelwahab occasionally landing strikes. And when I say occasionally, I mean a strike every 30 seconds. Which, if we just count real quick, what is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's about like 10 strikes, right? I know it's a little bit more, but it's a really bad round. And I'm thinking, Usman's reacting heavily to strikes. This is going to pay off somehow. No, it proceeds to go in the other direction, where Usman in the second round then outstrikes Abdelwahab by about 8 strikes. I want you to realize that throughout the second round and the third round, Usman is landing, right, effectively on Abdelwahab, but most of those strikes are strikes to the body that I want to say half of them shouldn't count, because it's not as though he's throwing body shots. He's throwing, I wouldn't even call them strikes. It's almost like he's just touching him with his fist. Really, there's no power on these strikes at all. He's genuinely touching his fist on Abdelwahab's body. But in a sense, you kind of have to count it, because Abdelwahab is just not throwing. He doesn't want to do anything. It's almost like he's afraid of Usman, who is afraid of Abdelwahab because he's reacting so heavily to the strikes that Abdelwahab is throwing. It was just a sloppy fight. You go to the third round, where Usman outstrikes Abdelwahab, this time by 14 strikes. It's closer to the end of the round, of the third round, where Usman decides, you know what, Abdelwahab isn't going to hit me. And so he just, I don't want to say pours it on, that's not the right word. Pours it on is too, I'm giving too much credit. He kind of like slowly picks up the pace on his strikes and ekes his way to a win. It was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. It really was. There's no need to mention the scorecards. All the scorecards are correct. 29-28 to Usman. Last 2 rounds to Usman. You then go to probably the second best fight on this card, or the most underrated fight on this card. It arguably should have been fight of the night, but it wasn't. And we'll get to that. We understand why it wasn't. It should have gotten a bonus. It didn't. Instead, Motta and Sadykov got the bonus. Whatever. We'll get to that. Ulanbekov versus Maksum. Maksum was robbed. Let's just put it that way. We'll get to why I can't say it's a definitive robbery, but he got robbed. Ulanbekov versus Maksum. First round for Maksum. Last round for Maksum. Second round for Ulanbekov. 29-28 to Maksum. Okay? This hurt my soul so badly. Just to see Maksum kind of sit down next to the cage and realize that, in a way, he just got robbed here. He got robbed really badly. And while the optics aren't in Ulanbekov's favor in terms of who's breathing heavy, the amount of cuts on your face and blah, blah, blah. It ends up being a very close fight to where I really can't complain. I mean, I'll complain to myself, and I think it's a robbery, but it's a very close fight. You go to the first round where it's very close on strikes. They're trading shot. They're literally going strike for strike. They're trading strikes. But in the end, in my opinion, Maksum outstrikes him again by one strike. There's a couple fights where I have by my count, someone outstruck somebody by a strike. He outstrikes him by about one strike, and he's landing more frequently on Ulanbekov. Okay, in my opinion, he's outstriking Ulanbekov. This round is razor close, razor close to where I really can't complain. We go to the second round where we get into more definitive territories. Okay, and this is where it's really just sad. In the second round, Maksum had 2 takedowns. Doesn't matter. Ulanbekov had a submission attempt, and he outstruck Maksum by about 9 strikes. This is where Ulanbekov was really effectively outstriking Maksum. Okay, then you go to the third round where Maksum has a takedown to close the round. But before he even gets the takedown to close the round, right? That's not really the most important bit. Even if he doesn't get this takedown, he still outstrikes Ulanbekov by about 5 strikes. He's winning this round 100%. You go to the judges' scorecards, and it's real sadness, man. It's real sadness. Eric Colon, he gives the first 2 rounds to Ulanbekov, and I can't complain there. I really can't complain there. This is the most correct scorecard, 29-28 to Ulanbekov. That's fine. It's where we get here where I realized that the judging tonight was then in the trash can. It was in the shitter. Vito Pajillo and Daryl Ransom, honorable mention to those 2. Terrible, shitty scorecards. They give the first 2 rounds to Ulanbekov. They give the last round to Ulanbekov as well. They don't know what they're scoring. They don't know what they're fucking watching at that point. Honorable mention to those 2. It's fucking shit. It's shit, and it really ruined it. When I heard 29-28 and 30-27, I thought to myself, it's in the shitter. The moment I heard 30-27, I said, it's Ulanbekov. Because he won the second round pretty definitively. It's gross. It's gross. This fight was when I saw this fight, I was like, we're in for a good night. This is a billion times better. Every fight on this card was a billion times better than Usman versus Abdelwahab. You go to the second honorable mention, Zhelezniakova versus Mullins. Amazing fight that the crowd just didn't care for some reason. Apparently when girls punch each other, it's not exciting to Baku. I don't know. They weren't bugging out. The commentary, though, we'll get to the commentary. They were shit. They were shit all night. If you could just sub out John Gooden for all 3 on the desk, that would be nice. I would be very grateful. Go to the judges' scorecards. Zhelezniakova versus Mullins. I had a 30-27. If you have anything else, you're biased towards Mullins. That's all I can tell you. And if Michael Bisping was on a judge's seat, he probably would have given all the rounds to Mullins somehow. I don't know why. Mullins looks slow in this fight. Now, to be fair, in the very few Mullins fights that I've seen, she's always kind of looked slow. But I understand the odds because she looks kind of slow and sloppy in her movement, but she looks coordinated. It's really funny. Mullins she looks slow, but she's coordinated, right? It's a weird thing to say. She looks more coordinated than Sygula in the previous fight and Alekseeva. Alekseeva looked retarded. Sygula looked retarded, even though Sygula beat up on Alekseeva. But Mullins in this fight looked really, really, really bad. 30-27, that's on my scorecard, 30-27. You go to the descriptions here. Mullins had a takedown and a submission attempt to close the round, but it didn't matter. The entire round, up until like a little bit towards the end, Zhelezniakova is just hitting Mullins in the face repeatedly. I mean, she outstrikes her by about 28 strikes. She's hitting her in the face repeatedly. Mullins is not moving her head. Mullins doesn't know what head movement is. She's getting pieced the fuck up. It's 28. She's up 28 strikes. She's getting hit so much, I'm thinking, okay, either Mullins is going to fall or we're looking at a 10-8. Eventually, no. Here's the funny bit. We'll get to the judges' scorecards. This is insane. We're fucked. We're fucked on a UFC judging level. We'll get to the scorecards. It's insane. I repeat, the first 4 minutes is Mullins getting pieced up by pretty much 28 strikes. Then to close the round, Mullins has like a submission attempt, and she has a takedown. It's nothing. It's irrelevant to what happened in the first 4 minutes of the fight. Cool, we'll get to that. Second round, Mullins has a takedown, does nothing with it, gets outstruck by Zhelezniakova by about 10 strikes. It's again, Mullins is doing better in the second round, but no, she's still getting pieced up by Zhelezniakova. Third round, Zhelezniakova again outstrikes Mullins, this time by 11 strikes. That's pretty much the fight. The commentary, on the other hand, is Bisping is making excuses for Mullins. Mullins is getting pieced up, and it's like, oh, Mullins still has a chance because she can take her down. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? She's losing. The entire fight is Bisping and Felder making excuses for Mullins, calling certain rounds close when they're not. No round is close. No round is close. Daryl Ransom thinks no round is close. We'll get to that in a second. No round is close. Felder even gets so mad that he hopped out of his chair. He got so mad because Zhelezniakova grabbed the fence. As though in his mind, he's thinking, what? Because she grabbed the fence, if Mullins would have got her down, she would have, like, subbed her or something. Like, that would have really changed the trajectory of the fight. It's so biased in that commentary group. I almost started to like Brendan Fitzgerald. Almost. It's fucking ridiculous. We go to the scorecards where it should only be 30-27, and Eric Colon, David Lethaby are the only correct judges on here. It's Daryl Ransom who wants to be different somehow. He gives the last 2 rounds to Zhelezniakova. He gives the first round to Mullins. Honorable mention to Daryl Ransom. He's high. He smoked something in Baku. He gives the first round to Mullins because what? She had a submission attempt to close the round? They were close on strikes, submission attempt at the end. Not Zhelezniakova is slightly up on strikes, then Mullins has the submission up. No. Mullins gets beat up for 4 rounds straight and then decides, oh, that submission attempt outweighed all the damage that she took on the feet. What are we watching? What are we scoring? Daryl Ransom thinks we're watching jiu-jitsu. That's what he thinks we're watching. Absolutely fucking stupid. We have the next honorable mention. Naurdiev versus Park. Everyone knows I love Park. Love the Iron Turtle. They scored this wonkily. They scored this very wonkily. I had it 28-27 to Park. 28-27 to Park. That's kind of the correct answer. That's me being pretty conservative about it, actually. If you want to be maybe a little more expansive on it, you can argue a 29-27. Is that correct? No, 29-26. Am I looking at that quickly? Hold on. I gotta think really quickly. No, hold on. Yeah, I have 28-27. If you want to be cute about it, you can maybe go 29, 29-25. 29-25, but for a multitude of reasons. Anyways, we go to the first round. Okay, first round for Naurdiev, last round for Naurdiev, second round for Naurdiev, but it's a close round, and then there's a point deduction, but we'll break it down. We start off with the first one, okay? In the first round, Naurdiev is outstriking Park by about 15 plus strikes, okay? Naurdiev has like an awkward fall, and he gets like slightly hurt, but it doesn't matter. He wins this first round, okay? I'm looking at the scorecards here, and the judges are, again, on one. It's insane how they scored this fight, I'm telling you. Naurdiev is winning. The awkward fall is not a drop, so let's start off there. Naurdiev does not get dropped in the first round. He doesn't. He does get slightly hurt because Park lands something on him that hurts Naurdiev. This does not eliminate the majority of the round where Naurdiev is piecing up Park. I don't know how you put on a scorecard Park winning the first round. Regardless, that doesn't really matter. So already we're at this weird impasse where all three judges gave the first round to Park. That's fucking insane. That's insane. You go to the second round. Naurdiev is outstriking Park on the feet. He's outstriking Park on the feet, okay? And he has a takedown. Here's where the point deduction happens, okay? The point deduction happens where he illegally knees Park. We wait a while. We restart the fight. Okay, and while Park is still getting pieced up on the feet, Park gets a takedown to close the round and land some ground and pound. Now, when I say this ground and pound is not it's not very effective. It's just pitter-patter strikes. Not only it's pitter-patter strikes that don't eliminate that. In fact, they don't really eliminate what Naurdiev did on the feet. And because of that, you still give Naurdiev the round, in my opinion. Now, because there was like a minute plus of ground and pound, if you want to call it that, where Park is on the ground with Naurdiev, I put a close marker on it because it's basically a tale of two halves, kind of, where Naurdiev outstruck Park on the feet, and then Naurdiev got taken down and then just got beat up on the ground, but the ground and pound wasn't really effective. So I put the close mark on it. You can argue the round for either person. The point deduction is 2 points, okay? 2-point deduction. So 10 minus 2 is 8. It's a 9-8 round for Park. And that's how the judges scored it. All three judges had that, in my opinion. Again, you can maybe argue the second round for Park. I didn't. Whatever. And it's funny how that works because we'll get to Ben Cartledge's scorecard where he gives a 10-9 in the second round, right, because of the point deduction, meaning he didn't see what Park did as enough on the ground, but then gives a 10-8 to him in the third round, despite Park's ground and pound being very not shit, but the same level of ground and pound he had in the second round is the same level of ground and pound he had in the third round. So, whatever. Go to the third round. Park had a takedown with pretty much 3+ minutes of ground and pound and a submission attempt. And he also outstruck Naurdiev on the feet. So, there you have it on that. Again, my scorecard is 28-27 to Park. Park still wins, in my opinion, but the scorecard feels a little inflated, in my opinion. You got the judges' scorecards. Clemens Werner, 29-26. That scorecard is fine. He gives his scorecard reflects Vito Paillo, both 29-26 to Park. First round for Park, last round for Park. Middle round he gives to Naurdiev, but minus the point deduction, it's a 9-8. You then go to Ben Cartledge. Honorable mention, I'm going to honorable mention this. I think this is really stupid. He gives a 10-8 to Park in the third round. I don't think that's a good 10-8 at all. It's an inflated scorecard. 29-25 is madness. You're already looking at it. There's no need to do the 10-8. 29-25. He gives a 10-8 in the last round. The first two reflect the other judges. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. We go to the next honorable mention, and it's Naimov versus Grad. Let's start off with this, okay? Naimov is just a dirty. I don't give a fuck if he's from some small country where everyone sits in a state. They love to do that. He's from a country where everyone can fit in a stadium and they watch his fights. I don't give a fuck. He's a dirty fighter, and nobody will mention it because he's in a stadium or something. Because his people watch his fights in a stadium. Who gives a fuck if they watch his fights in a stadium? Fuck the stadium. He's a dirty fighter. All throughout this fight is Naimov just putting his fingers into Brad's eye, putting into Grad's eyes. And who's the ref for this? Because this shit was pissing me off. It's Goddard, who somehow fucking... We'll bring up Goddard in this. We'll bring up Goddard in a second. Right. It's Goddard who, out of nowhere, just randomly decides, you know what? I didn't see that. Goddard, who catches everything, is just like, no, I didn't see Naimov just like just stick his fingers in Grad's eyes. So confused. So fucking confused. I have a 29-28 for Naimov. You go to the first round. It's close on strikes with the edge to Naimov. Naimov landed. He landed an effective head kick. Very close on strikes. I give the edge of the strikes to Naimov. Grad had a takedown, but he did nothing with it, so it's kind of irrelevant, really. And even though I would go towards it's close on strikes, and then Grad had a takedown, giving the round to Grad, it really is a nothing takedown, and the more effective strikes came from Naimov. You go to the second round where Grad has one takedown, and he outstrikes Naimov by about 6 strikes. It's insane. He's effectively outstriking Naimov, and he has a takedown. Yet the commentary is pretending as though Naimov is like beating his ass. It makes no sense. The commentary is glazing Naimov. Every time Naimov threw something, a big majority of the round where Naimov threw something, he's missing. There was even a sequence. Lord help me, I almost punched my computer screen. Naimov throws a combination that whiffs, that misses, and Brendan Fitzgerald wants to highlight how those strikes are probably the most powerful strikes I've ever seen. I almost broke my laptop in half. Almost broken in half. It was insane. You go to the third one where Naimov has a reversal with ground bound for about 2+ minutes. Grad has a takedown as well, and he outstrikes Naimov on the feet. There's this sequence here that almost that didn't really make sense. So Naimov has Grad on the ground, and he's telling him to work. And Naimov's working, but he's not working maybe to Goddard's liking, and Goddard stands him up. It's kind of wild. He really shouldn't have stood him up. Instead, he does stand him up, and regardless, Naimov still gets outstruck on the feet slightly, but it doesn't matter because the work that Naimov did on the ground, or the amount of time he had him on the ground with a little bit of ground and pound there, is what really matters. It's a kind of a sneaky close round. I'm not going to lie to you. It's kind of a sneaky and close round because if you watch it, it's a tale of two halves where Naimov has Grad on the ground. When I say ground and pound, it's not a super effective ground and pound. It's really light ground and pound, and which is why Goddard probably picked him up. Very light ground and pound. Not really effective. He just kind of sits on him for 2 minutes. They get back on the feet, and Grad proceeds to outstrike Naimov on the feet. He outstrikes him on the feet very, very well. And then the round ends. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, you can kind of argue this last round for Grad, and I'm really surprised this wasn't a split decision, but the judges have been shit tonight, so whatever. Boom. You go to the judges' scorecards. All three of them have it the same as me, 29-28 to Naimov. You go to the next honorable mention. And it's, let me find it here. You go to the next honorable mention, and it's Sadykov versus Motta. This was the fight of the night. This was the bonuses of the night. This wasn't stupid, okay? If you were to give a fight of the night, personally, I would give Ulanbekov V Maksum, and then the performance bonuses to Motta and Sadykov. This fight was fun for however long it lasted, and the scorecards are wonky. Sadykov wins by TKO in the second round. I gave a 10-9 to Motta in the first. It should be a 10-9 to Motta, but one judge had it the other way. You go to the scorecards. You go to the descriptions here. Motta outstruck Sadykov on the feet. Okay, I know the optics may look different, but he outstruck him on the feet. And he kind of dropped Sadykov. Kind of dropped him. That kind of matters. So there was a lot of drop / not drops in this entire fight card, but he kind of drops him. Loads of strikes from both fighters were blocked. So when Motta caught Sadykov and he let off the allegedly, I didn't count, but allegedly 75 shot combination. A lot of them were blocked by Sadykov. Yes, 100%. A lot of them were blocked. That's still irrelevant to the fact that he let off a 75 shot combination. That when I say missed, they didn't miss. A lot of them were a lot of them were covered, right? Cool. Okay. You then later in that round, towards the end, Sadykov then starts to pick apart Motta. But it's not enough to then go, this round now belongs to Sadykov. It's not. The first round would still go to Motta. Motta still outstruck Sadykov by a pretty decent margin. And while towards the end, Sadykov was then putting it on Motta, that doesn't mean the round then belonged to him. Not at all. It's not even close, actually. It's not even like a debatable thing, really. You go to the judges' scorecards, and only one has it off. It's Vito Baio. He has a 10-9 to Sadykov. Honorable mention. That's fucking stupid. That's ridiculous. Okay? It's absolutely ridiculous. Go to the next honorable mention. This fight pissed me off. Go to the next honorable mention. This fight really pissed me off. Blaydes versus Kuniev. Right. In my head, I've been thinking about this fight for a long time, right? Ever since it was announced. It was, okay, we're putting Kuniev to basically, it's another reminder. It's another Abus versus Strickland. The other guy whose name I can't remember versus Whitaker in Abu Dhabi. It's one of those things again where they're setting up these guys to just kind of jump in. They're trying to liven up the division, and that's fine. But can we get him to fight somebody who isn't in the top 5? Like someone legit, like someone come on, what is this? And we almost got a robbery here. Now, it was a very sloppy fight. It didn't make Blaydes look good. It didn't at all. It didn't make Blaydes look good at all, but it is what it is. 29-28 to Blaydes. First round for Blaydes. Last round for Blaydes. It's not really particularly close. There's not really a close round here. Yet we have a split decision somehow. 29-28 to Blaydes. You go to the first round. Okay? You go to the first round. And Blaydes, if I can find it. That's weird. I can't find it. Oh, yeah. Blaydes has 2 takedowns. He has 2 takedowns, but Kuniev gets up relatively well. He has 2 takedowns. Blaydes does nothing with the 2 takedowns. And he outstrikes Kuniev on the feet Not by a lot, but it's obvious that he's winning the round. He's holding Kuniev for most of that round also. Go to the second round where Kuniev outstrikes Blaydes by about 15 strikes. This is what's insane, right? Kuniev had the opportunity to win this fight. This wasn't an Abus Strickland situation. This wasn't I can't remember his name, but the other Arab guy who fought was Whitaker. No, he had the potential to piece up Blaydes. He deterred every takedown that was left after the first round, and yet was unable to somehow put his strikes together. He was unable to put his strikes together. There was a moment in the fight, I believe the third round or the second, I think it was the third round, where someone in the commentary, I want to say Bisming, someone in the commentary said, well, Kuniev is striking better than Blaydes. And that was true in round 2. In round 1 and in round 3, Blaydes striking was a lot more effective. It was way better. It was way better. And that put me at concern. It made me squirm a little bit because there were moments where Kuniev could have outstruck Blaydes and just chose not to, and he didn't. And we go to the third round where Blaydes outstrikes Kuniev by about 10 plus strikes. Most of those strikes are Blaydes holding Kuniev against the octagon fence and then just kind of kneeing him. But even on the feet, Blaydes had some success against Kuniev. And yet the narrative on this fight was, from the commentary, was, wow, look at Kuniev and look at this and look at that. And also, can Blaydes do better? But, hey, he came away with the win. Eric Colon and Darryl Ransom, their scorecards reflect my 29-28 to Blaydes. And then Ben Cartlidge, he gives the last round to Kuniev. Honorable mention to Ben Cartlidge. I disagree with that scorecard. Go to the next honorable mention. And that's Fiziev versus Bahamondes. There's nothing really to talk about here. All three judges have the correct scorecard. It's all 30-27 to Fiziev, but it was a really interesting fight to watch. Fiziev in the first round, Fiziev outstruck Bahamondes by about 3 strikes. A lot of stance switching. They were just it was like a chess match in that first round. You then go to the second round where Bahamondes starts to really pick it up. He outstrikes Fiziev by about 2 strikes, really. It's funny, right? If Fiziev doesn't get these takedowns, Bahamondes probably wins this because he's outstriking Fiziev. He's outstriking Fiziev a little bit. He starts to have Fiziev's number on the feet. Then Fiziev gets 2 individual takedowns, kind of like at 2 separate moments. Two takedowns. Not. He doesn't really get ground and pound. He kind of gets up and then he just hits Bahamondes. Kicks him on the feet while he's down. And then he kind of drops Bahamondes. It's a very... I keep saying kind of drop because tonight it's just a boatload, except for the last fight, obviously. It's just a boatload of people getting dropped, but awkwardly. It's almost like they get dropped, but they also slip at the same time. I don't know how to really describe it. They're not fully getting dropped. It's almost like they're moving as they get hit, and then they fall down, and it looks as though they get dropped, but it's not a natural drop. And so that's what kind of happens to Bahamondes here. He kind of throws something, and the optics of just him falling while getting hit. It's crazy to say that. It's almost like he's off balance, really. To close the round is what puts Fiziev over in the second round. Then you go to the third round. It's close on strikes again on the feet. Very close on the feet. But Fiziev, again, gets 2 takedowns. This time, he's landing super effective ground and pound. On the first instance, though, Bahamondes is landing some effective strikes from his back. But then, once that second, and again, Fiziev is landing effective ground and pound. But once Fiziev gets that second takedown, he then starts to land pretty good heavy ground and pound. And he was ready to put in a submission, but then he runs out of time. So that's where you get 30-27. You got the next honorable mention. You know me, I'm a big Jamal Hill fan. It didn't work. It just didn't work out. It really didn't work out. I'm looking at the scorecards. That's not what I thought this would be, but we'll talk about it. 49-46. First round for Hill. Close first round. You can argue all 5 rounds. You can argue this round for Rountree if you want to. It's a razor close round. You can argue the first round for Rountree or Hill. But other than that, every single round belongs to Rountree. There's no debate. I'm even surprised looking at one of these scorecards where they gave the round to Hill. They should have given it to him in the first. Instead, they gave it to him in the 5th. But we'll talk about that. First round, it's very close on strikes with the edge to Hill by 1 strike. Second round and onward, Rountree outstrikes Hill, this time by 4 strikes. In the third round, he outstrikes him. And he drops him twice. But the strike count is low. He outstrikes him by 4 strikes. Okay. Rountree just played it safe, really. And that's based off of the talk they both had after the match. He outstruck him by 4 strikes, but he dropped him twice. You go to the 4th round, Rountree also outstruck Hill, this time by 7 strikes, and then in the last round, he outstruck him by 5 strikes. For some reason, Hill and Bahamondes thinks that they won the 5th round. While he was a lot more active in the 5th round, he still got outstruck. Simple as that. He was a lot more active in the 5th round, but he still got outstruck. Bahamondes, his scorecard is 49-46. Honorable mention, he was the last round to Hill. That's nonsense. So honorable mention on that. And then David Lethaby and Clemens Warner, their scorecards are pretty correct. 50-45, they gave all the rounds to Khalil Rountree. And there you have it. It was a sluggish fight night, but we got through it. That's all I got. Thank you all for listening, and God bless.